Yesterday we were discussing the seeing of dissolution in the effort to see the dissolution of formations. We should practice carefully and respectfully, Sakkecha Kriyaya, in noting every arising object in the body, so that the noting mind will be sustained on the object of attention without any gap or without missing. Of course, in the beginning, how can one practice respectfully? Although one is determined to practice respectfully, sometimes it seems disrespectful, or it may amount to disrespect as regards the practice. That's why in the text is given this Sakkecha Kriyaya. One has got to make a habit of practicing respectfully. If one makes it a habit, one is bound to accomplish it. Later on, automatically, one will accomplish proper mindfulness. Such is the nature of the practice. The reason is that when one understands or has faith in the advantages or benefits of the practice, one will cherish to undertake the practice, and one will come to appreciate it. Then one will come to understand the value of every moment of mindfulness. So, previously, you have been respectful, you know how to do things respectfully. Now, you make it a habit to practice mindfulness respectfully, then you'll be able to accomplish it. This is what is meant. So, in changing postures, we have been used to doing it quickly all along your lifetimes. So, how can one reduce this rate of movement to 0? Is it possible? Some may not believe it. Some may think this is not possible. Some may even criticize the teachers as exhorting the impossible thing. So as not to happen like this, one has got to practice and make it a habit to do it respectfully. Appreciation is very important or essential for everybody, especially the practitioners. Only when one knows the value, the benefit of the practice, will one appreciate the Satipatthana Bhavana. And to what extent is the benefit, one should be able to understand it prior to the practice, which is very important, even if it's in a very rough way. Some may criticize it as, what is the use of this practice? What is the benefit of this practice? We are wasting time and so on. Are we wasting our valuable time in our life? If one is doubtful about this, about the practice, then one will not be able to undertake the practice energetically. There will be no usaha. Usaha means when you are confronted with difficulties, especially physical and mental pain, you must bear these pains and sufferings by gritting your teeth or with gritted teeth. Usaha means if the one confronts the difficulties which one confronts unavoidably. Saha means gritted teeth. Observing, undertaking, bearing with perseverance, gritting one's teeth or with gritted teeth, confronting the situation with daringly. That is the kind of ability which one should possess. One should be able to confront this difficult situation. So, the Buddha has declared in the beginning of the great discourse on mindfulness to inspire the practitioners so that they will be able to confront the difficult situations. They will be able to bear them with patience. And the declaration that the Buddha has given in the beginning of this discourse is very simple but important and useful. First of all, the assurance given is freedom from raga, dosa, lust, craving, aversion, and all these mental impurities such as craving and aversion. Now, the 100% of suffering in human beings has their root cause in these defilements, mental impurities, corruptions. It's due to them there arise social problems in the world. They are very dangerous. So, whoever sees danger in the suffering of existence will practice this respectfully and carefully. They will find out the root cause of this human suffering, basically and practically. One should be able to protect, protection, then treatment, then subdue it, then finally eradicate it to the point of no return. Such is the practice of Satipatthana. And the Buddha has declared and assured the practitioners in the beginning of this discourse that there is only one way to eradicate or to remove to remove these impurities such as raga, dosa, moha, craving, aversion and delusion. And that way is none other than the practice of the mindfulness. That is Satipatthana. That is noting every arising in the body, ever arising in the body, with the application of proper aiming and energy to sustain one's mindfulness. In this way, the Buddha has assured all these practitioners to inspire them. Secondly, the Buddha has assured the practitioners that this practice can overcome sorrow, soka. Now, as regards this sorrow as a result of the loss of one's own belongings, properties, wealth, or even relatives and friends and members of the family, and so on, this happens all over the world. Then, great sorrow may result to the point of fatality, or some people may go mad because of this. It is a great suffering. So, there's one way to overcome this sorrow, soka, and that is none other than the way of mindfulness, Satipatthana. And this sorrow also can lead to lamentation, parideva. Then one will cry and lament in a small way or in a big way. This also is tantamount to misfortune. So in order to overcome this sorrow and lamentation, there's only one way, one sure way. This is none other than the way of mindfulness, to note every arising object in the body. Then comes this dukkha domanassa. To overcome the physical pain and mental distress, this is the sure path, sure way. Dukkha means physical pain, which everybody experiences. Even when you are sitting, meditation, you are bound to experience this physical suffering, physical pain. Domanassa means the mental distress as a result of physical pain, or just through your own mental distress. So these two things happen to everybody. So in order to overcome these two things, physical and pain and mental distress, there's only one sure path. That is guarding the mind with vigilant mindfulness of every arising. So as for this physical and mental pain, everybody has to suffer, everybody has to confront it, has to experience it, except those who are on the third and fourth path, Nagami and Arahant, who have attained the third and fourth path. Even Sorapana and Sagaragami, those who have attained the first and second path, has to suffer this physical pain and mental distress. Only when one reaches the third path, one will not experience this pain. But even if there is no mental pain, there is physical pain. Physical pain is bound, one cannot escape, even if one has become an arhat. One will not be free from physical pain. So in this world, if we take off in our life, if we remove two things, namely physical pain and mental distress, everything will be, peaceful, happy, everything will be good, excellent. So, but it is not possible. Nobody can be free from that. Such is the weakness of all beings. This is the weak point. Everybody is afraid of this physical pain and mental distress. The Buddha has assured all beings at the beginning of the great discourse on mindfulness that there is one sure path which can overcome physical pain and mental distress, and this is none other than the path of mindfulness, Satipatthana. So whoever it may be, he or she may be, one wishes to be free from physical pain and mental distress. One wishes to be physically comfortable and mentally happy. But is there any method to do that? As for the Buddha has discovered the method by himself and has given us, hence, this great announcement at the beginning of the great discourse on mindfulness. Then comes this benefit of Nyaya Adhigamaya. Nyaya means Ariya Mega, the path consciousness of the noble ones. This which eradicates the root cause of human suffering, namely craving, aversion, and mental impurities, which are the causes of 100% of human suffering. And in order to realize this noble path, there is only one sure path, namely the path of guarding the mind with vigilant mindfulness of every arising. If one realizes Ariya Mega, noble path, one is bound to realize also the fruition knowledge, Phala. Thus, one realizes Nibbana, and this is one sure way. So every Buddhist, not only Buddhist, but everyone needs real peace and happiness, or real this kind of benefit, and the Buddha has given assurance. Nobody has discovered this method, this path. Only Buddha has discovered this method by himself, how to overcome this root cause of human suffering. Even in the old days, those who have attained absorptions, mundane absorptions, jhanas, had not discovered this method of eradicating the human suffering, or the path of fruition knowledge. Only the Buddha has practiced by himself and has discovered it. Hence, has given the assurances how to subdue, how to overcome these mental impurities which are the root cause of human suffering. And there's only one real correct path, and that path is none other than the practice of mindfulness. So, if one practices by oneself, one will realize that such an assurance is correct. In a sense, the assurance is given to realize the noble path and fruit, and the sure path is the path of mindfulness. Now this assurance given as regards the benefits of Satipatthana Bhavana, one listens or hears respectfully, carefully. By listening respectfully and carefully, one comes to understand it. Then one will say to oneself, oh, this is simple yet significant, not trifle. Either one listens or reads or discusses in a briefly or in an elaborate manner, one will come to realize this fact. Then one will come to understand that this benefit of the practice is significant, it's not trifle. It is a high-level practice, it's an advanced form of practice. In this way, one will have faith and acceptance, saying to oneself that this is commendable, this kind of practice is desirable, this is very important. This is what is meant by saddha, faith and confidence in the practice. If one does not understand the benefits of the practice, there will not be any faith and confidence, saddha. If there is no faith and confidence, one may be doing it blindly, haphazardly. Then one may be walking the wrong path, not the right path. Because of this faith and confidence, saddha, one will become desirous. This is known in Pali as chanda. One will cherish to do it. Then this leads to the desire to undertake the practice. That is the result of listening to or hearing the Satipatthana practice and its benefits by listening, discussing or reading relevant books. In this way, one's saddha, faith and confidence is said to be awakened so that this chanda, desire, arises, which is very valuable. This is by understanding the benefits of the practice, one's saddha is awakened so that one will cherish to undertake the practice. For those who who think about the pros and cons of the matter, will come to understand that because of this benefit of the practice, there is assurance as regards the results of the practice. This is quite unshakable. This is quite strong and durable assurance. As regards this human worldly happiness or sensual happiness or sensual pleasures, they have no guarantee, they have no assurance. However good they may be, they may seem to be. If one goes on enjoying life, one is bound to meet with dangerous situations. This kind of sensual pleasures may be pleasurable, but they are perilous, fatal, and they have no assurance. As regards the practice of Satipatthana, the result of Satipatthana practice gives assured happiness. Then, knowing this, one will be prepared to forego, to let go these sensual pleasures in order to gain the assured happiness given by the practice of Satipatthana. Then one will be able to possess courage, the courage to let go this sensual worldly happiness, and one will not face, one will leave it behind. That is parisada, letting go, renouncing. Now you have renounced, temporarily at least, your sensual pleasures, your pleasures of senses, your worldly life for the time being. That's why you have come to this center to undertake the practice, in order to gain the kind of happiness which surpasses the worldly happiness which you have left behind. And for that you need lona vriya, energy, exertion of energy, in the form of 3 stages of energy, namely the initial launching energy. Then, after you have initiated your energy, you may come across difficult situations, such as physical pain and so on, and other difficulties. Then you put up your energy, lift up your energy, exert more energy. This is the second stage of energy. Uplift your energy. Then, after you've done that, you exert your energy by stages in order to reach the cherished goal. That is the third stage of energy. Energy by stages to reach the final goal. And in this way, you'll be able to develop this kind of courage to exert energy. Now, the yogis have left behind this sense of pleasure, worldly life behind for the time being. So for 1 month, they're bound to lose this worldly happiness, domestic happiness, for 1 month. If you stay here for 2 months, then they are bound to lose this 2 months portion of their worldly or domestic happiness. But so they think they have left behind the best enjoyment. So after having left this best, so-called best enjoyment, they have come here to undertake the practice. So they must have the courage, the heroic energy. And this courage is very important. So for practice, that is to note every arising object, beginning with the main object of rising and falling. Note with proper aiming and energy, especially this energy, exertion of energy, virya, and the drive, which is the driving force in order to sustain your noting mind on the object of meditation every second of the time without gap. Sitting regularly according to schedule, walking regularly according to schedule, and whatever you do, wherever you may be, note every arising object in the body, respectfully and carefully, energetically, with the application of energy, which is most important. So you need this heroic energy to undertaking the practice. So instead of undertaking the practice with energy, if you are just thinking, imagining that this practice might affect your health because you cannot sleep as usual, full 8 hours, or because you cannot eat fully like before, your health may be affected. My health may be affected. In this way, if you think in this way, become doubtful, then you will lose energy. There will be no heroic energy. So there's no such thing as exhorting the meditators to lose their health or even to die. There's no such thing. Because the Buddha has himself given this assurance to overcome physical pain and mental distress. Buddha has shown the sure path of mindfulness. It is the Buddha who has shown it, not Sayadaw, or not anybody else. So if one has faith in it, even one cannot eat as much as one used to be, or cannot sleep as much as one used to be, even if one has not much freedom like before, no free feeling as before, there's no self-indulgence as before. So you should undertake this practice with full faith and confidence. Then, if you do that, the more you undertake the practice, the more you become energized, and the more you will have faith as a result of the practice. So on the other hand, if you are doubting that is this practice correct or not, are the teachers doing the right thing and so forth, then one will not be able to accomplish the practice. So one has got, Buddha favors respect and care in the practice. Buddha does not favor, does not wish practitioners to practice disrespectfully and carelessly. So long as the yogis practice respectfully and carefully, Buddha is much for these practitioners. Buddha has given the permission to practice respectfully and carefully. So one has got to do it properly. Eat your food, but you eat as much as you like, but not to the belly full. So you become very lazy and will not be able to undertake the practice. And so long as you are able to take the food, nutritious food, the food is provided to you. So long as you are not choosy, just like you choose your kind of food at home, you are taking whatever food is provided. And so long as they are nutritious, you can take food. And as regards sleeping, you can sleep well, but according to schedule. You should sleep well so that you'll be able to exert energy, but not more than the time limited for your sleeping hours. So, but if in spite of that, if you entertain doubts and criticism, then you will not be able to undertake the practice properly. Even as for Sayadaw, prior to coming to the retreat, he had much faith and confidence in the practice after having studied the Satipatthana practice. But when he finally came to the retreat, to the center, he began to become a little doubtful and critical, looking here and there, this way and that way, looking at others and criticizing others, how they are behaving, especially when they are transgressing these disciplinary rules, linear. Then he would criticize or look at them with critical eyes. So he started entertaining this critical mind, and he became critical, and thus he was not able to practice properly. And the meditation teacher knew about it. So the teacher knew that a yogi was doubtful and critical. So the teacher gave a discourse on how not to entertain doubt and criticism. So when he heard that, he came to understand that it was directed to him. So he improved himself, changed his manners, and he asked himself whether he had come to criticize others or he had come to do self-observation, to self-control, to practice by himself in order to overcome suffering. So he asked himself these questions. So he has come here, he came to the retreat to do self-observation, not to criticize others. So, from that time on, he only practiced to control himself and mindfulness, to be mindful of whatever arises in his body, instead of looking at others with critical eyes. And at that moment, there was this, he remembered this analogy of a boatman. When one is traveling by boat, if a clever boatman will be mindful of himself or herself, whereas if he or she is criticizing other boats, how they should behave and so on, especially when the weather is rough and the waves are very rough and the water is wavy, then instead of other boats suffering misfortune, his or her boat itself might sink. So he or she might suffer loss if he or she is criticizing other boats instead of minding his or her own business. So he remembered this analogy and started to practice self-control and self-practice. So he got the answer. And from that moment, his practice became very good and straightforward. So this self-confidence is very important. With self-confidence, one will motivate the practice. Self-confidence will motivate the practice so that one is bound to become courageous in the practice. This is more than ordinary mentality. This Sakya Kriya is practicing, working carefully and respectfully. This subject is very elaborate and there's much to talk about it, but time is limited. So one should be able to cherish and appreciate fully the benefit of the practice that one can gain from the practice, so that one will practice, do it respectfully and carefully, so that you all may be able to enhance or develop or reinforce, sharpen your controlling faculties such as Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, day by day, until you come to the climax of the result of the practice and be able to utter joyfully that this is it. That's all. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.